Glad to have the opportunity to contribute to this debate, and it's a conversation we'll need to rehearse over and again in the coming years and indeed decades. A just transition has at its core the principle of solidarity, that as we make the changes to our economy and society in response to the existential implications of climate change and biodiversity breakdown, that we protect our most vulnerable. And to my mind, that must be in terms both of climate mitigation and climate adaptation, that is to say, those impacted by the structural changes we must undertake to our economies, but also those directly and adversely impacted by changes in our planet's climate. But we must be clear as well that a just transition is a framework to enable us as a society to make difficult decisions in the fairest possible way. It is not, and I've heard it deployed in this way, a reason or an excuse to defer, delay or deny difficult decisions. A failure to act a business-as-usual model will be catastrophic for our entire biosphere, but those impacts will be felt earliest and most keenly by those who have contributed least to the problem. Minister, they're feeling it already. From East Africa to India, the impacts of a changing climate are already playing out before our eyes. And it's this international dimension I want to concentrate on. Other deputies in the House today will concentrate on the Irish context, and that's a critical discussion to have. There are important and difficult conversations to be had about how we protect people in energy poverty, how we reform our food systems, our transport systems, our energy systems, and a just transition has to be the underpinning framework for those conversations. But our commitments under the Paris Agreement are global in nature. As restated in the Solidarity and Just Transition Silesia Declaration in 2018, and I quote from that natural disasters and other exogenous shocks exacerbated by climate change bring devastating effects to vulnerable workers and people living in poverty with limited savings and no social safety net, increasing the challenges and the obstacles to just transition, especially for countries characterised by fragile environmental conditions and least developed countries. In preparing for today's debate, I read the Eco Crisis report of the European Commission on drought in the Horn of Africa. Their climate is changing, their rains are failing. In Kenya, over 1 million livestock have perished. In Ethiopia, women and girls walk for most of the day and part of the night for a jerry can of water. In Somalia, 1.4 million children under the age of 5 will face acute malnutrition through the end of the year. I question, do these Somali children feel hunger any less keenly than my 5-year-old at home? And do Somali fathers love their children any less than I do? I very much doubt that's the case. The people of East Africa need rain and grain, not beef, butter and powdered milk. And people across the developing world need a voice in any conversation on a just transition. They need Ireland as a developed country to live up to our own climate commitments, but also to advocate for things like a meaningful loss and damage facility. If we are genuine in our commitment to a just transition, that must not just be for communities here in Ireland, but that commitment must extend in solidarity to people beyond our shores to encompass the entire global community. Gur Magat.